My husband works at a tech company, and I currently stay at home raising the kids who are 10, 7, and 3. I go food shopping at least twice a week, and I usually go to the King Colon near our house, though I sometimes go to the nearby Target as well. Those are two of a very small list of grocery stores in our quiet town. To give as much context as possible, we're an Italian family, and I'm currently 40 years old. This happened not even a year ago when I was 39. I was running behind on shopping one day, so I went much later than usual. The King Colon bias closes at 10, and it was definitely past 9 o'clock already, so I hurried over to the store with my flyers and coupons. The kids were complaining about a lack of food in the house, so I had to get a quick grocery run in. Most days I'd have to go shopping with my 3-year-old daughter Haley since it was late, and my husband was home from work at this time. For once, I was able to go shopping alone, which I consider a luxury. I got to the King Colon, which was pretty void of people at this hour since it would soon be closing. I grabbed a cart and quickly started doing my laps down the aisles, grabbing whatever was on my list and whatever was on sale. I was in the cereal aisle when I got a tap on my shoulder, which startled me. I turned and saw a very tan man about my height with a baseball cap on, a black OT, a red zipper-up hoodie and jeans. He apologized for startling me, explaining that he'd been looking everywhere for a specific bag of chips that was in my cart, and he asked where I found them. I politely told him the aisle, and he said he checked but couldn't find it. So I led him exactly to where I found the chips. He thanked me, and after some pointless conversation, he suddenly paused and said, "Gosh, you're pretty." I thanked him and tried to get back to my shopping, but he followed me and kept talking. Politely, I told him I just wanted to shop in peace. He finally seemed to get the hint and walked away, but for the rest of my time in the store that night, I kept seeing that man circling the aisles. It made me increasingly uncomfortable, and when I finally finished and went to the checkout, he ended up right behind me in line. As I unloaded my cart, he told me to have a good night, and I ignored him. When I was unloading my car at home, I noticed the red hoodie guy in the parking lot looking at me as he walked to his car. He got into a junky-looking Honda, and as I drove away, I realized he was following me. My husband chased him away when we got home, but it still remains uncomfortable that a creep like that knows where I live. When I was in college, I worked at Wallbounds. The one I worked at was a 24-hour one, and despite being 20 and in college, I ended up on the overnight shift occasionally. One day, I saw that I was scheduled for a Tuesday night from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. I felt sick seeing that and asked my supervisor why. He told me that if I'm over 18, I don't really have a choice. I considered quitting, but I needed the job, so I sucked it up. I arrived at the store at 12 o'clock and relieved my co-worker Amanda. Half the lights in the store were out at this hour to save on electricity. There were surprisingly many customers when I got there, but past 1 a.m. the place was completely dead. It was past 2 a.m. and I was as bored as possible. I wondered if there were any other employees in the building. There was a bald guy who looked like a manager passing by the front registers every few minutes. He had a key ring attached to his car keys with like 10 keys on it and was holding a small backpack-type bag. He confirmed that he was the manager when I asked him. He asked me to go to the back warehouse and organize the pallets, saying he'd watch the front. As I walked towards the back, I saw him doing something to the entrance door as if he were locking it. In the warehouse, I met another manager, Rob, who looked puzzled when I described the first man. We didn't even make it out of the warehouse before all the lights turned off. Rob checked out what was going on, and we discovered that the man had locked himself in, cutting the lights. The security footage showed him circling the store suspiciously. I never worked an overnight shift again. I used to work as a night restock worker at a supermarket called Great American in a somewhat rural town. My shift would be from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m., restocking the shelves and organizing everything. I had the keys to the store for after hours, and I usually worked with a partner, either Terry Carter or Alfonso. This night I was supposed to work with Terry. I arrived at the store and let myself in the back where all the inventory was. I started my work, but after not seeing Terry, I went to the back area where our belongings were. Terry wasn't there, but I noticed the back door was shut. I called Terry, and he said he wasn't coming in that night because he was sick. Suddenly, I got the chills. I told him someone kicked the door stopper off. and he said it could have come undone itself. I wasn't convinced. I called out again, and as I looked down an aisle, a man dressed in black walked past on the opposite side of the store. When I approached, he disappeared behind the shelves. I went outside and called the police. They arrested the man, who kept smiling and looking at me, licking his lips. It was a menacing smile that still haunts me. I continued my work, but needless to say, I never left any doors open again.